Welcome to this evening's meetings. We have three agendas this evening. We'll go through the Muskogee Municipal Authority agenda first, second, the Muskogee Parking Authority agenda, and then thirdly, we will come to the City Council agenda. So, Muskogee Municipal Authority, roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Here.
Dan Hall. Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston.
Here.
Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Patrick Cale.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
Item number one, regular agenda.
Consider approval of Muskogee Municipal Authority minutes of August 8, 2016, and special call minutes of August 16, 2016.
Entertain a motion. Is there additions or corrections?
Move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number two.
Consider approval of MMA claims for the month ending August 2016.
Mr. Tucker or Mr. Miller? Tucker.
Mayor, Mr. Chairman, if you will see on your desk, we have submitted a revised list of claims. This is a revised list as compared to what has been presented in the packet. We have $1,072,455.53 that we are seeking to transfer to the city's general fund, retaining $255,800 for water and sewer obligation, with $42,000 to remain in MMA as part of the 5% increase for water. As you all may remember, we had a fee increase that went into effect August 1, and all of those funds were to remain in MMA for funding of water sewer projects of that type. In the item that was presented in your packet, that $42,000 is not accounted for, so what we're asking for is approval of the claims as now presented.
So
Happy to answer any questions.
The motion would need to include the revised edition
Yes.
Move for approval.
of
Second.
the revised
Yes, sir.
as well? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, motion and second. Any comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item three.
Authorize staff to submit loan application to the OWRB, the Oklahoma Water Resources Board, requesting the proposed Civitan Basin drainage study be added to the CWSRF project priority list and include in the fiscal year 2017 intended use plan or take other necessary action.
And Mr. Stewart, this is your item.
Yes, try not to confuse you. This item can be just a little bit confusing. I did lay a map out in front of you, and that's a copy of the scope of work that I've been in discussions with Holloway, Updike, and Bellin over what we're describing as the Civitan Drainage Basin. This is to go along with some of the drainage projects that we have currently been working on. And as we were resolving some of those issues with our current projects, Jay and I got to talking about all the issues that still lay in that Civitan Drainage Basin. And we got to talking about it and started trying to put together a scope of work. And just so you understand, we do not have a contract with Holloway, Updike, and Bellin for this scope as of yet. But as we were discussing it, we had a meeting where we were actually finalizing some of the work with Oklahoma Water Resource Board. And in that meeting, we got to discussing the future projects that the city of Muskogee might have, and we got to talking about this Clean Water State Revolving Fund and their loan forgiveness program. And we were really trying to figure out if we could fund any of these future projects with it. And what came about was we discovered that we could be eligible for the drainage study itself through Holloway, which would be the contract that we would put forth with Holloway. So that Holloway contract, and I put a part in your packet that actually discusses the scope of work that would involve, and it's to perform a field survey of the entire drainage way. And by the way, this basin actually starts up at York and Gibson and goes south and east towards Country Club, and then from Country Club by the mini storages there on Country Club, it travels on out to the Arkansas River. But the scope of work would be to perform a field survey of the entire drainage way, bridges, culverts, and storm sewers, verify storm sewers, inlet types, and do hydraulic analyses. As you can see on your map, and I hope you can see it a little better, it starts at Circle Acres, which is on the left side of your map, and it's that yellow line up there that's outlined in red. Start where Circle Acres, Horn Street, Bonnie Avenue storm sewer actually starts. And we've got some areas over there where the inlets are being overran. They're just not big enough. It wasn't put into an adequate size, and there's just not adequate drainage in that area. And that moves forward to the Circle Areas 2 channel, then to the area where we've outlined as a proposed drainage basin, over to the Country Club drainage structures, and that's where we've had water top Country Club many times and had to have fire rescue in there several times. It travels on to Turnpike West across the access road where we've had problems, and then on out to the 45th Street Bridge where it's actually, the water's actually taken the top off the bridge and caused us to have to close that. So that is basically the scope of work. And what we're looking to hire Holloway to do was, again, to move that into a more detailed project, to identify the areas and to make sure we're not moving this problem water just from one area to another, but actually resolve the problems at hand. So as we were discussing that, Kathy Coons from the Oklahoma Water Resource Board was discussing this loan forgiveness program. And this project actually fits, and that's the design of this project actually fits in Category 4. Category 1, 2, and 3 is for sanitary sewer type projects, and Category 4 is for stormwater projects. So it was $148,000, and that's broken down in your packet if you looked at that in those each individual areas. It's $148,000 for the design of this project. This is something that we're asking council for permission, authorization to actually apply for this loan. We'd still have to bring it back to you. There's a need for speed in this. It's first come, first serve, and this program actually expires at the end of the year. That's why we're trying to push this through so quickly. I would have had Jay up here and gotten a little more detail into this project. But right now, all we're asking for is authorization to submit application for the Oklahoma Water Resources Board Clean Water State Revolving Fund, which is a loan forgiveness program. And I could do a little better job explaining that in the future, but it basically means we borrow the money and then we ask for forgiveness right behind that, so it could actually be free money. We're wanting to move forward with this project irregardless of whether we get this application, but we are asking for authorization to submit for this loan, and I'll answer any questions.
I'm just curious, if the loan forgiveness aspect is not approved, do we have funding to be able to take care of this on our own, or will we seek another resource?
We, I don't know, Councilman, if you remember, but we borrowed money to do the 2 drainage basins. We borrowed approximately $3.5 million. We didn't expend that much. There's still close to $500,000 in that account, and that's what I was looking forward to using to move this project forward.
Okay.
Now, if we can get this, maybe we can use some of that money for some of the construction aspects, but that was the intent.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there comment or discussion? What kind of time frame? Mike, you have any idea?
I think we'll hear back on the loan itself, hopefully by end of the year. I know it'll take Jay 6 to 9 months to do the scope of the actual drainage review. So I'm looking at a year down the road before we'll actually have a hard project in hand.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Motion carries, and that concludes our agenda for the Muskogee Municipal Authority. We will now go to the Muskogee Parking Authority agenda. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Here.
Dan Hall.
Present.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston.
Here.
Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
Item number 1.
Consider approval of Parking Authority minutes of June 13th, 2016.
Any corrections or additions for the June 13th minutes? Otherwise, we'd entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comment? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 2.
Consider approval of the only bid with H&G Paving Contractors for the City Hall parking lot improvements as per unit prices submitted in their bid in the amount of $106,675, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, this item was on last week's Public Works and Finance Committee agenda. It was approved. This is an only bid. We did, as Prog, if you'll remember, described to you, he did do the research on it on the only bid. This was recommended for approval by the Public Works and Finance. I can go through the project with you again, but I'll just ask if there's any questions, and we recommend approval.
Okay.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion and a second. Actually, we got 2 seconds
There you go.
on this one, so we're really good. Any comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 3.
Consider approval of bid by Ross Construction in the amount of $124,063.07 for the 3rd and Columbus parking lot improvement project, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart again.
Yes, this one was not on the last agenda, so this is a new item before you. This is to construct the parking lot, or to assist the city with the construction of the parking lot. Over on the lot that lies to the north of Columbus between 3rd and 4th Street. There is a copy of the diagram of the layout of the parking lot in your packet. The contract before you is to do the preparation of the dirt to actually construct the curb and gutter and the concrete driveways. This is a parking lot that we anticipate to have 121 parking spaces, and that includes the 6 handicap spots. The total price on this was $124,063, and this is to come from the Parking Authority Fund. This does not pay for the asphalt that will have to go on top of it. The city forces will lay that, and that's going to be at an estimated cost of around $20,000. So we're looking at about $145,000 for a total project of this. Now, if you'll look on your bid tab sheets, you're going to see that there was a huge discrepancy in the pricing. 2 contractors bid right at $220,000, and then Roscoe bid it at $120,000. I will remind you, we had this same result when we did Military Drive out by off of 69 Highway back to the east, where we had Roscoe come in extremely low and the others high. I had Brady Ross, who is the owner of Roscoe, come by the office and discuss this with him. The others are anticipating running into problems in that parking area with old foundations and stuff that would have to be removed and have to go at a deeper excavation. Now, in preparation for that, before we did the bids, the city actually took a backhoe over there, and we did a lot of spot digging, and we didn't find any of those basements or stem walls, but now I'm not telling you they're not in there. So I discussed that with Brady, and he still felt like his $124 was an adequate price. There is a $10,000 allowance we put in there because we thought that we may run into the unknowns. And I will remind you that there is a 15% change order limit that can go with this. So if we do run into something, we've got an allowance, and we've also got 15% that we could do a change order. And even if we were to do that, we'll still stay well under the other 2 bids. So we recommend approval. We've done this same type process with contractors before. We think this is the best way to go, and I'll answer any questions, but we do recommend approval in the amount of $124,063.07 with Roscoe Construction.
Mike, I got a question. When we did Martin Luther King, we ran into some issues over there. We did those core samples, and we thought, okay, we're okay, and then we went to digging. Didn't we have an issue there where it cost us a little bit more than what had happened, and it got it into deep pockets there?
And we've also, like I said, we went over and we dug trenches across this thing in several places, making sure that, we've done our due diligence. But that still doesn't mean we won't run into a stem wall, because unless you dig up the whole lot, you won't know. But we do have an allowance in there for fabric. We can bridge over some of that work. We've talked about it. We feel like this is a good price. Again, it could be the 15% change order could take effect. Still would be well under the other
What are we
two bids.
talking with the 15%? I'm not a good math person. I wasn't good at English either, but I'm working on it.
$18,500 is what it
Okay.
would be.
Then I move for approval.
I've got another question.
Okay,
I see that they're doing the grading. Looks like they're pouring the concrete drives, the curb and gutter. Is there any kind of a material to be compacted under the asphalt?
The sub-base will have to be compacted. It'll have to come in around a 95% density. So we will have, and we'll have it proof rolled. We'll have them go in there with a dump truck, a loaded dump truck, and we'll proof roll it. If it fails, then that's when we'll dig into a little deeper subsoils, and that's when the change orders will take into effect. What we saw over there, we don't expect it, but I just want to make sure you're aware of it.
So you're just pouring on compacted soil?
Yeah, We'll be
Applying.
laying asphalt on top. No, it'll be compacted sub-base. It'll be compacted aggregate.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't make that clear.
How deep is the aggregate?
Well, without looking at the specs, I'm going to tell you it's probably 6 inches, but I don't know that to be exact.
Counselor Hall and I may have had the same math instructor, so I'm going to ask a follow-up question. And that is, are we certain that the 18,000 that you just said is enough, just in case we run into the same issue that we did, like we had on Martin Luther King?
Well, we're bound by that,
Okay.
by bidding laws, by Oklahoma bidding laws. If it's under $1 million, it cannot exceed 15%. So if it gets to that point, then we'll be looking at some other method.
Okay.
And that will probably mean the city will be over there doing some excavation, but we will keep it at that price.
Okay,
We're bound by that, by bidding laws.
thank you.
Second.
motion and a second. Is there other comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston. Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed. Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. That now concludes our agenda for the Muskogee Parking Authority. We'll move to our agenda for the Muskogee City Council. Invocation this evening will be by Councilman Derek Reed, and then join us as I lead us in the flag salute.
Shall we pray? Oh Lord our God, we come thanking you for the gift of another day. Thank you for allowing us the beauty of this day. We know we didn't deserve it, but your grace, your mercy, and your love allowed us to see it, and we say thank you this evening. We ask that you would look upon us tonight as we come together to discuss the city business and make decisions for our community and for our city government. We just ask you would order our steps in your word, and your will be done in this room tonight. Bless the citizens that have come out tonight. Their hearts are heavy, but God, we know that you're in the midst. And these and many other blessings we ask and give you thanks for. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Join us for the flag salute, if you would, please. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Here.
Dan Hall.
I am present.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston. Here. Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
We will now go to our minutes for two meetings, one for regular session meeting, August 22nd, and then special call session, September the 6th. Are there additions or corrections to the minutes? And if not, would entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Consent agenda, items number 1 through 12. Is there anything anyone would like to move to the regular agenda?
8 and 11.
Number 11,
8 and 11.
number 8, and number 11. Okay, move numbers 8 and 11 to regular agenda. And we will now entertain a motion for the consent agenda excluding those two items.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. And the consent agenda passes. 8 and 11. We will now go to item number 8.
Consider approval of the appointment of Stacy Simpson to the city's facility board, replacing Judy Hoffman to serve a 5-year term beginning on September 1st, 2016 and ending August 31st, 2021, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, this was my appointment on last meeting that we would appoint Stacy Simpson to the Facilities Board. As I had previously stated, she had been very active in our urban renewal area when it was time to work with our residents to help explain the process. She's also been a continued supporter of the city of Muskogee, and with her qualifications and her diligence to make certain our city is great, I recommend approval.
I like to second that, but I'm sure Ivor Van wants to say something.
Yes, on
We
this item.
consider that a second?
Yes, that's a
Okay.
second.
Ready? May I have the floor, Mayor?
Answer.
On this item here, I just wanted to get a clarification in general. I'm on the Facilities Board, and Ms. Judy Hoffman, I think she was put on the Facilities Board a little before I was, and she was also on the Civic Center Board. And I talked to the city manager, Mr. Tucker, and I wanted Mr. Tucker to explain to my some of my constituents out there, reason she's, being taken off.
Well, I think the original question that Mr. Van gave to me was, why was Ms. Hoffman not afforded the opportunity to serve a full 5-year term? I think is what you had asked me. If you all remember, when we created the Facilities Board, we consolidated that board with the Civic Center Advisory Board as well as the Animal Shelter Board. What we did at the point of consolidation was any member on those two pre-existing boards that had not expired, we would bring over to the Facilities Board and allow them to continue to serve out their existing term at that time. And so Ms. Hoffman was a carryover from the Civic Center Board. Marcella Page was also a carryover from the Animal Control Control Board, and then her term expired within a couple of months. And then Ms. Hoffman's term has now expired. After she sits off for a year, she will be eligible for reappointment to the Facilities Board, but she is eligible for a reappointment to another board at any time.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. It's just one of my constituents wanted me to bring this up tonight, so I did. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion and a second both? And any other comment or question? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 11.
Consider approval of the appointment of Councilor Dan Hall to the City of Muskogee Foundation Board to serve a 2-year term beginning September 1st, 2016 and ending August 31st, 2018, or take other necessary action.
This is a recommendation that I had made, recommending Dan Hall to serve on the City of Muskogee Foundation Board for a 2-year term, and I move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there comment or discussion?
Yes, sir, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I have 5 minutes down there on the paper.
Beg your
I have
pardon?
5 minutes on the paper.
On
That way I don't get interrupted.
Okay.
Ivory Van, down 11 East Holden, Muskogee, Oklahoma. I was come down there on this item. It was approved. Councilman Hall be on the foundation board last Public Works meeting, and it's only 2 councilmen that hadn't been on this on this foundation board. That's me and Mr. Councilman Hall. And I asked the mayor a couple of meetings ago that I would like to be on this board, and I plainly asked you, could I be on this board? It wasn't no kind of communication with you or me. You never did come and say, well, Ivory, I don't think you'd be a good fit for this board, or blah blah blah, nothing. So I'm just curious of why. Like Reverend Coleman, he got appointed to this board when he first got on council, and just a couple of council meetings ago, also Mr. Kale, he's been appointed to this board. There's no diversity off this council for these two board appointees, and I'm just curious, why. Did you ask the mayor? Did you want to be on this board, Mr. Hall?
Yes, I've been asking for every year that I've been on this thing.
Okay. Well,
I've been asking to be on the foundation. I've been asking to be on the port board, the airport board. Those are some great boards to be on, and yes, I would love to be on all 3 of those. And I was very honored when the mayor asked me to be on this, and I've been on here going on 5 years. I'm in my 2nd term, and he had Derek on it. He had Wayne on it. He's had Marlon on it. He's had several people on it that's been on and off this council. I feel that it's a great honor to be on this board.
I feel it is too, but I also feel that it ought to be just a diversity on this. You got two.
Well, can I say one more thing? Because I know, and I'm not trying to cut you off, Ivory, in your 5 minutes, go ahead with your 5 minutes, and I'll say something
Go ahead.
afterwards. Well, you know, and when they put Derek and Marlon on there, I didn't get upset. And I couldn't have said, you need another white guy on there, you can't have adversity, but I didn't say that. I mean, it's whoever appoints that person has that right. I mean, I don't go to you and say, hey, Ivory, I want you to appoint this person on the board. It was just that thing, and when he asked me, I said I wasn't going to turn it down.
I understand this. I understand that. But my point is that it's another board that I was appointed to, which was the board like for the expo. The mayor is in charge. He's in charge of the expo board. I mean, as a committee member. I mean, I went to all the committee meetings with them. I was the only minority that went out of town with them to different things. And they slacked me. They overlooked me when they chose a committee. Just like up there on council, you always overlook me when you choose these committees. And that's how I feel about it, because you overlook me. I told you 2 weeks ago when I told the mayor, I said, he ain't gonna put me on that board. Remember I told you that, Councilman Hall? And sure enough, he didn't put me on that board. I knew he wouldn't. I knew he would not put me on that board. Because me and the mayor, one thing about me and the mayor, we got a good understanding. He understands me and I understand him. He don't care for me and I don't too much care for him. So that's just the way it is. And I'm not up here lying. You know, but I'm just saying that's just how he feels about me, and I knew you were going to be the one, and trust me, sir, I wish you the best. And like I say, you know, I'm the type of person to speak up, and the foundation board probably don't want me on that board because I was telling the truth and I would speak up. I won't bite my tongue. So I applaud you, Councilman Hall, for being on this board,
that.
and I applaud you for appointing him, my mayor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your input.
Do you need a second?
We've got a second.
We got a second.
You have a second?
Yeah, we got a motion and a second. Any other comments?
Thank you, Mayor. I haven't got voted on yet again.
Well, let's wait until we get voted. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Now I can say thank
Motion
you.
carries. You're welcome, sir. So, regular agenda item 13, and we will consider ourselves in a public meeting at this point.
Hold a public hearing and take action on the approval of an ordinance rezoning the property located on Big Street west of North 17th Street, more particularly described in the ordinance, from R1 Single Family Residential District to R5 Mobile Home District, and if approved, authorize staff to revise the official zoning map of the city to reflect said change.
Mr. Garvin.
Mayor, members of the council, the applicant is requesting approval to rezone 2.28 acres from the R1 Single Family Residential District to the R5 Mobile Home District. The property is located on Big Street, just west of North 17th Street. The reason for the rezoning is to allow the property to be developed residentially. They are proposing a mobile home on the property. Now, looking at the existing zoning land use within the area, starting with the site itself. Currently, the site is zoned R1 Single Family, and it's vacant, undeveloped property. North is outside the city limits, so there is no zoning classification, and it's also vacant property, pasture land. To the south is zoned R1 Single Family and is also undeveloped vacant property. And to the east is zoned R1 Single Family, and there's a couple of single-family dwellings on the property. To the west is zoned A agricultural and is vacant, undeveloped property. Now, if you look at the land use map does show residential classifications. However, it only shows single-family, transitional, and multifamily. Since it does not include mobile home on the residential side, you have to look at the mobile home on a case-by-case basis, even though it is a residential classification. So when you look at the property, the majority of the property, as you saw in the pictures, abutting the property is undeveloped property. There is also several properties that is either zoned mobile home or have a mobile home located on the property within the neighborhood. With that being said, we feel like it would not cause a negative impact to the neighborhood by rezoning it to the R5 Mobile Home District. This item is being recommended for approval by staff, Planning Commission, and Public Works Committee. Be glad to answer any questions.
I have just one. This land setting so far back, is there water and sewer that runs down in there? Or?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
there is.
I was kind of curious about that after the first presentation of it, and I was like,
There's another mobile home at the end of 17th Street on past this property, a double-wide mobile home that has water.
Now,
Now, sewer wasn't available, but the water is. They'll be
okay.
able to
Now,
do
my
the same
next
thing.
question,
Okay.
trash pickup. If we do this, they gonna be able to get that big truck down that little B road? Are they gonna have to
We'll
bring it
refer
up?
that to Public Works, yes.
Okay, just asking. I mean, just trying to keep y'all out of a bind with that big white truck.
Yeah, and it is a dead-end street, and it's a narrow street.
Nobody signed up to speak to this item, so we will close the public hearing and then continue the questions or comments by part of council. Other comments?
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Anyone comment? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 14.
Receive presentation on residential sidewalk rehabilitation.
Councilor Ivory Van.
I'm about to get there, give me just a second.
Can't shut the door, Ivory.
I'm shutting it for a reason. Just hold on.
You can't. Sorry, Open Meetings Act, Ivory.
Yes, this project here is called the B Street Residential Project. And the reason I shut that door, last council meeting, I was standing up here, and the money we was talking about going downtown with the sidewalks, we was going to spend, you remember that, Councilman Hall? We both objected to it, and I think you still do, that we spend $30,000 on sidewalks downtown when the people downtown have enough money to spend to have sidewalks. But in the residential area, it's a lot of people that don't have the funds, the means to do this. And the reason I went back there and shut that door, because last week when I was up here, we had to take a little vote. We didn't really take a vote. Y'all kind of just, threw it out there in the air, and waited through. Councilman Coleman made a motion to give us 3 months to look into sidewalks. Y'all remember that, correct? So the reason I went to that door back there was, when y'all shut the door on me last Monday night, next day, matter of fact, it was the same Monday night, God still opened the door. Because Councilman Kale was sitting right beside me, and he said, Ivory, he said, I'll help you out, no problem. And I applaud you, Councilman Kale, for that. And so the door has been opened, and you seen the PowerPoint that I presented last Monday night, but I want you to see this one tonight. So, Mr. Garvin, I'm going to let you do the clicking, since you're the best. This project is called B Street Resident Project, August the 29th.
Too fast.
You went too fast.
Go way back out.
Back it up. August the 29th, September the 7th, 2016. And before I start this presentation, I want to say one more thing. Last night, I was at Quick Trip. I was just minding my own business. I had 2 ices in my hand. I went up to put them on the counter, and there was a young couple in front of me, and I got up there to pay for it, and the guy said, no, this guy's already paid for it. I didn't know this man from Adam. I didn't know this young man from Adam. So I went to his car, and I thanked him. And you know what he told me? He said, don't thank me, sir. Just pass it forward. So last week, when y'all turned me down and shut the door in my face, and God opened the door, and I'm going to show you what God did in that length of time. Okay, Mr. Garvin. See this sidewalk here? This is the one I presented to you last week. See how bad that looks for kids to fall over and bust their head and crack their head wide open? It's a tripping hazard. And this is right located on South B. Go ahead, Mr. Garvin. Now, you see how that bad that looks? Now, how would you like your grandmother or anybody like that to trip over that? You see the little dog? You can't probably see the little girl sitting on the porch, but it is. But like I say, this is what's in our residential areas. Go ahead. Okay, you see this truck here? This is the city truck with the street department's logo on it. Okay, the city comes out, they digs this sidewalk out. As you can see, that's the backhoe. They're digging that sidewalk out. Go ahead, Mr. Garvin. They're still digging this sidewalk out, getting it ready. Okay, these men here, Michael Twist, Gorlin Sanders, John Sutton, Melvin Parker, Public Works and Street Department workers. They're working on this project right as we last week. Go ahead, Mr. Gorman. Okay, they're still taking the sidewalk out. Okay, John Lee, he's the backhoe operator, works for the Public Street Department. He's taking the sidewalk out and putting it on that dump truck to get ready to haul it off. Doing the same thing on this picture. Okay, so these gentlemen right here, they're at this point here, and so they're digging around the sidewalk, the old sidewalk, so they can get ready to put the new sidewalk frame, get it framed in. Okay, right here, they're still putting the stuff on the truck, the old concrete. Okay, now they've got it all dug out. Don't that look good? Yeah. They got it all dug out, and they got the barricades in place. And this is all the street department that done this. Thanks to Mr. Mike Stewart. He told me don't thank him, but hey, I appreciate people do things. Jim Wixon also, he was involved in this project. When people do something good, you recognize them. Go ahead, Mr. Gorman. Now they come, they put sand in the base. They still, you see how they got it neatly done, because they know I like stuff done neatly. Now this is where the concrete men has come out and they have framed it up, getting it ready to go. Okay, Mr. Gorman. Now they poured this concrete. Praise God. Go ahead, Mr. Gorman. Now you see, this is a saw cut, which the saw cut is made when you don't want the concrete to crack, but you can still saw it, but it's still concrete is gonna crack. Okay. Now this gentleman right here, his name is Star Fields. He's the owner of American Native Construction. That guy has done a lot of work on our parks here in Muskogee, and you're talking about a good guy. That right there is a good guy. I'm telling you. He is one of the best, I'm telling you. Go ahead, Mr. Gorman. These are his workers, Alex, Ray, and Paul. They work for American Native Construction. They done the concrete work. They done all of it. Okay, right here on this picture, this is Emily, this is Marcus, and this is Trey. These are the little kids that I was talking about might bust their head that live right in front of it, where you seen that concrete buckle up just a while ago in the first picture. These kids right here, trust me, they don't have to worry about that concrete buckling up anymore, because it's fixed. Go ahead. Now I took my last picture with them, and they you know, like I said, great bunch of kids. Only thing missing on that picture, I forgot the dog. I forgot the little dog that they have at their place. But as you can see, go ahead, Mr. Gorman. Thank you, American Native Construction, Starfield's owner, and the City of Muskogee Public Works Department. So we worked as a team, and we got this job done. And you know what we paid for this job? Zero. So don't tell me what God can't do. Don't tell me what God can't do. I'm telling you. But like I say, Mr. Starfields, he volunteered all his labor. He bought the concrete. He done it all. Like I say, I'd like to say tonight, people, I hope they take advantage of this program we have here at the city, where if you got a bad sidewalk in front of your house, Public Works will come out, take that sidewalk out, and haul it off and get it ready for the construction guy, the concrete man, to come put it down. You know, so that's a good benefit that we have here in Muskogee. And one thing I kind of got ahead of Mr. Stewart on was kind of on the utilities, but Mr. Stewart, they call for utilities. You got to call for utilities the first thing you do.
Okey-lokey.
Mr. Stewart, explain the process to him right quick, if you don't mind.
Anytime you do an excavation, you need an okey-locate. That is for our safety, our employees' safety, and to make sure nobody's hurt, and it's a liability issue.
So, like I say, I wish all the citizens that's listening to me tonight, in this room tonight, will take advantage of this program, because, like I say, God just worked it out. Y'all can look at the proof. That's all I can say. That family was very, very blessed, and you're talking about appreciative. They were. So again, I'd like to thank you, but I just wanted to show you what God can do without people closing doors, because God always opened doors up here on this council for me.
No action is needed on 14. We'll move to item 15.
Consider approval to authorize the city manager to coordinate with the Muskogee County Sheriff for the reestablishment of a community intervention center for the temporary holding of juvenile offenders, and further authorize a one-year expenditure of up to $100,000 to fund said operation or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker.
Mayor, members of the council, as you all know, for at least the last 10 years, we have operated in conjunction with the Office of Juvenile Affairs and the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office a CIC, which is a Community Intervention Center that is housed at the Muskogee County Jail. The purpose of the center, for those of you who may or may not know, is for the temporary housing of juveniles. So let's say a juvenile is out and is taken into custody for curfew violation or some other minor misdemeanor. Well, they're not actually arrested. They're brought to a holding facility, which is the CIC, until their parents can be contacted to come and pick them up. At the beginning of this year, the beginning of this fiscal year, we were notified that the Office of Juvenile Affairs, who had normally funded this to the tune of about $250,000, cut 100% funding, not only for Muskogee but statewide. And so as a result, the CIC was shut down and those employees there were laid off. Police Department and I, Chief Eskridge and Deputy Chief Farmer, began to brainstorm about how we could fund, at least in part, a part-time CIC that would help us be able to have a location, a safe location to drop off the juveniles until their parents can be called, that could be funded wholly within the city, since we were losing the Office of Juvenile Affairs funding. So met with former Executive Director Donnette Kaywood to work out a plan for doing a part-time CIC. She was able to be very creative and streamline their operations, and it looks like it could be funded for 5 day a week, operate 5 day a week, 16 hours a day. And that would cover the highest population times when a kid is delivered to the CIC for a holding. And so that would cost around $91,000. So what I'm asking for is authority to make an expenditure up to $100,000 to fund those operations, and to further authorize me to work out an agreement with the Muskogee County Sheriff to continue to use the location where the CIC is held. How this would work, we would come up with an agreement where the Sheriff's Department would provide the in-kind services of use of the location, telephones, office equipment, things that are already there. And the city would take over the payroll expenses for that, and would also supervise the personnel within that division. The supervision would occur in the city attorney's office. As you know, I am moving back to my position October 24th, so I thought I would take that with me. And so if we're able to reach that agreement, and if we are able to, if you're authorizing that expenditure, what we would do then is work with the OJA to make sure the site is certified. It has been closed for about 2 months, and so we may need to verify that there's no additional recertification. But the former employees who were previously certified will maintain their certification, and will bring many of those back to work. Obviously, with a part-time basis, we won't be able to bring everyone back, but we'll be able to bring the majority of people back. Now, the question that was asked to me earlier was, would this be restricted to be used by the city only? The answer is, if it's a CIC, it has to be approved by the Office of Juvenile Affairs, and there can be no restrictions. Obviously, if someone delivers a kid when the facility is not open, we wouldn't have to receive the juvenile. But if it's within the hours that we're going to be operating, then yes, which would mean that the county would be able to use it, and the school system and other agencies would be able to drop juveniles there until their parents could be contacted. Happy to answer any questions, but I know Councilor Hall and I have discussed this at length, and I hope he is in favor of this, but I'm happy to answer other questions.
Well, and I am. The thing that I would like to reiterate on is that the misconception that it's a juvenile jail, and the kids, even when we have a couple every now and then, very few at all from Muskogee schools, but the thing is that they want to call it a jail, and it's not. All this facility does is allow a police officer, when he picks up a juvenile, is to take the child to a place where they don't have to sit in a police car or in a police officer's office all day with them and sit there and like, I don't like you, I want to get away from you. And it gets them into a facility where their parents can come pick them up. They get to eat while they're there. They get to watch TV while they're there. It's a very non-restrictive environment other than just keeping them there until their parent picks them up. It's not a jail. It's not a detention facility. It's just a holding facility to get the officers back out on the street. It's a great program. It's used by us, Fort Gibson. It's used by several entities throughout Muskogee County. And we didn't realize how much it was such a value to us until it was gone. And now that it's gone, we're going, where do we put these kids? And we can't find a parent, and the parents out of pocket, or they're at work, or they're out of town. And it really does work to help minimize the time that the child has to spend with the officer, and it minimizes the time that the child has to be in a police car or in a police department. It puts them in a facility where it's least restrictive in a kinder, nicer environment, and gets the officer back out on the street to do their job. I'm highly in favor of it. I do want to move for approval on this. I just wish we could do it Saturday and Sunday. I guess we're going to do it Monday through Friday.
No. The plan is Monday and Tuesday would be closed, so it could be open through the weekend.
Oh, Lord, I mean Monday and Tuesday. No, that's fine.
What
And
about
Councilor
the
Hall
effect?
is so correct because it's a healthy alternative to having the children have to go to jail. When I lived in New Orleans, we didn't call it CIC, we had Truancy Center. And with the Truancy Center, a lot of our kids were dropped off there as an alternative to having them go someplace else. And I think most people will be in favor of having them placed any place except in jail while we contact their parents. So I agree with Councilor Hall, and I second.
We also, after we approve this, can we look at see how much it would cost to do the other 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
Just because I would rather not go into great detail, but we have a certain site that we have that we use that facility for when that child is out at the boot school. We put them there when they can't behave there. And I mean, just to kind of use it as a place for their parents to come get them to do that. I would like to see what that price looks like.
Sure.
If it's not open all the time, if the parents don't come during the time it is open, what becomes of the kids?
They get to stay with me. And they love me. They'll have ice cream and, yeah.
Councilor Boydston, to answer your question, depending on how long they've been there, if they've only been there a very short time and it's close to closing time, the officer will then have to stay with them while their parents are called. If they've been there for a substantial amount of time and their parents cannot be reached for whatever reason, then the matter will be referred to the Department of Human Services.
I see.
Yeah. Very rare, but it has happened.
Do we need to amend our motion in second to include what Councilor Hall suggested about the other 2 days, or do we take it as staff direction?
I can take that as staff direction.
Okay.
Got a motion, we got a second.
But that will mean I'll probably need more money then.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there other comments or questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Definitely.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 16.
Consider approval of the appointment of John Schilt to the Muskogee City County Trust Port Authority, subject to confirmation of the county commissioners, and to the Muskogee City County Port Authority to serve a 4-year term beginning on September 1st, 2016, and ending on August 31st, 2020, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Kale, and we have one person that signed up to speak to this item as well.
Yes, I'd like to appoint John Schilt to the Port Authority. John's got an expertise that most folks don't have. He's got an engineering background. Of course, he's got a boat there at the port facility. He's got national and international boating experience, familiar with various marinas, ports, and waterways. And I think he'll be a good asset to have on the Port Authority.
Okay. You're moving for that as a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
A motion and a second. Mr. Van, you had signed up to speak to this item.
Ivory Van 911 Holden, Muskogee, Oklahoma. I've been addressing this item since we started doing our appointees. I had an appointee to the Port Authority. Ms. Boston had appointed to the Port Authority, and Mr. Kell had appointed to the Port Authority. Ever since 1995, it's never been a minority. And this is 2016, it's not been a minority on the Port Authority. And I think there's something wrong with that. No blacks, no Indians, no Spanish, nothing. So last week I told you that in 1994, Mr. Schultz, the one Mr. Kell is getting ready to put on the board, he's been on there for 22 years already. We put him on there again for 4 more years. That makes 26 years. And I got a list of other people who's been on the same, like Mr. David Jones with Ms. Boyston. She appointed, which I was supposed to take him off the board, but she puts him right back on. Same scenario. Been on there since 1984. 22 years. 4 more years is 26 years. And we need some fresh blood. And I told him at Public Works last week, I went out on a ride. Well, my appointee was Miss Toby Ledbetter. She's a minority. She's black. She's a woman. It had to be me put her on the board. She's the only one now that's on that Port Authority board. And we went on a boat ride about 2 weeks ago. It was me, myself, my friend, and Miss Ledbetter and her daughter. We're the only 4 black people was on that boat. And one of the gentlemen out there said, "Ivor, you see something wrong with this?" And I said, "Well, hey, we're the only black people here." He said, "That's a shame. It needs to be more people out here riding this boat." But I just want you to know, you always saying diversity, you'll get in our face and you'll smile and grin and he. But when it comes to putting a minority on this board, you didn't do it. You did not do it. I had to do it. I had to point my own color as a minority to be on this Port Authority board. Now, the county commission is the same way. I had a man that's a CFO, owns a hardware store in Haskell, Oklahoma. They wouldn't put him on the board. I have a problem with that. Y'all should have a problem with that. The next time comes up will be probably August of 2017. That's when we'll have another appointee. So we have to wait all that time. But trust me, I think Ms. Toby Ledbetter is going to do an excellent job representing this community, because she helped with the Batfish, she helped with the Renaissance Fair. These things need to be brought up, because if I don't bring them up, y'all are not going to bring them up. Y'all are not. And it's only fair. And even if you don't appoint a black minority, next time through the city or through the county commissioners, appoint an Indian, a Spanish. We have a greater Spanish population here in Muskogee. This is Indian country. We need an Indian on there, but that's all I'm trying to say is be fair with these appointees. Because like I say, right now we got one, and God worked that out because he put it in my hands to put her on that board. And I'm proud of her. And she's going to do an excellent job out to the port. So that's my spiel on this. And I told Mr. Kell, don't take this the wrong way, because hey, I like Mr. Kell. He's a good man. I'm telling you, that's one good man sitting on that council. But I just want things done fair and in order, and the minorities put on every board. But this board here, it needs at least one more, another one, or 2 or 3. There's no number on it. So that's just my 2 cents. But I appreciate your time, council. But next time, I may not be on the council when y'all put them on again. Somebody else, another minority on. But at least one thing y'all can say, Ivor stood at this mic and he tried to tell us. Because people I know in Muskogee is looking at this. And we do definitely want some more minorities on this board. Because it's a good board. As a matter of fact, one lady told me they used to be on the board. Oh, this is a powerful board. These people got money on this board. Really, it's a powerful board. But, like I say, it's the same good old boy system over and over and over. And we're tired of the good old boy system over and over here in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Do you think I would want my children? I tell them all the time, go to school, get a good education, and get the hell out of here. That's just what I tell my children. That's just what I tell my kids, because I know, being on that council and how I was here at this mic, I know how I've been treated.
And let me say, we're not going to use profanity at the microphone, sir. Thank you.
Hell is not a profanity word, Mayor. Because if you belong to First Baptist Church, either we go to heaven or we go to hell. Right. One or the other. So that's my 2 cents for tonight, and I appreciate your time.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there other comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
No.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item 17.
Consider approval of the appointment of Evelyn Hibbs to the Muskogee Medical Center Authority to serve a 7-year term beginning on October 1st, 2016 and ending on September 30th, 2023, replacing Dr. Fred Reefer, or take other necessary action.
This is my recommendation, and everybody sitting here probably knows Evelyn Hibbs and her contributions to the community, and I move for her approval for the Muskogee Medical Center Authority Board.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. We will now recognize citizens wishing to speak. Council rules of decorum limit the citizen comment to 3 minutes. Any person desiring to speak is required to sign up with the city clerk, provide their name, address, and particular issue they wish to address. Under Oklahoma law, the council members are prohibited from discussing or taking any action on these items not on today's agenda. Mr. Van, you had signed up to speak, sir. Regarding Robinson, or ribbon cutting at Robinson Park.
Ivory Van 911 Holden Muskogee. Okay. I'm at 3 minutes now. Ivory Van 911 Holden Muskogee, Oklahoma. Yes, I just wanted to appreciate the people that came out and support us in the ribbon cutting. I'd like to thank Ms. Brooke Hall, Mike Miller, Roy Tucker, Kimber Scott, Marshall Wiseman, and Okie Country Radio, because they the one helped us get this ribbon cutting together. And we definitely have a lovely park now. We got a bathroom. But I tell you what, I'm going to, the last payment we make to this bathroom, to this contractor, I'm going to bring my porta potty and my toilet and set it right back up there, Councilman Hall and Councilman Johnson, and tell you that's going to be the last time you see it. The last time. Also, I'd like to thank Grant Foreman School, Whittier Elementary School for coming out. I invited Wilkerson Daycare and also Precious Angels Daycare. They couldn't make it because a lot of people didn't think we was going to proceed with it because of the weather. So, like I said, these people helped us years ago when we was trying to get some of that stuff at the park. They wrote a letter of recommendation to the state. So you don't put the people down that you first begun with. You bring them up with you. So I just wanted to recognize the people that, Miss Archie, you're here, but I just like to recognize the people that helped us in the beginning. And I forgot to mention just a while ago on that beautiful slideshow just a while ago, that was possible because of Leslie Arnold and Darla Bennett. They put that together for me as a councilman. So I just, but like I say, I invite everybody out. Also, we got new playground equipment. And also now we have these bubblers in our pond, so we're going to stock the pond next year. Mm-hmm. We're getting ready to we got some bleachers where the kids don't have to sit on the ground. That just happened this week. And then we're going to put bleachers at the skate park. That's in the works. They just got to come out and put them down. But we're also going to try to get some concrete pads set up for those kids. So when we set the bleachers down, they'll be on concrete, and the bleachers won't be rocking and reeling like that. So like I said, God has blessed us on this park, but I'm proud of it. And I know a lot of people think all Ivory Van do is think about Robinson Park. But I do way more every day than think about Robinson Park. Trust me, I have other things I have to accomplish. So I appreciate the people that helped us with this project. And the ribbon cutting, we had a lovely time that day, no matter storm and lightning, but we still went on. Thank you.
Reverend Charles Moore, you had signed up to speak, sir. Give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, would this be out of order if I asked for, since Mr. Moore is the only one speaking, if he could have 10 minutes to speak? He may not go over it, but since you got all these people here about the same thing here in this audience, I think it would be good to give him 10 minutes to get his point across. Would that be acceptable to you?
I second that
Mr. Moore,
motion.
does he need to speak for you? Are you asking for that?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Coburn, I will second that because I've heard Pastor Morse preach, and he's not going to be able to get it in 5 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion. I want to make sure that's put on the record. That's mine then.
So we got
Don't
2
need-
seconds? One motion in 2 seconds? All right. Mr. Moore, you're.
Good evening. My name is Charles
10
Moore.
minutes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, if you take a vote to suspend the rule.
Okay. We'll need a do we need a motion
No,
and a
we
second?
had
to
the
do that?
motion, we had the
Motion and
second. We
Okay.
just need to vote.
We need a vote on suspending the rules. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Definitely.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, sir. My name is Charles Moore, and I reside at 2515 Hilltop Avenue in the wonderful city of Muskogee. To the distinguished members of our city council, the citizens of Muskogee, and my brothers and sisters of the Muskogee Christian Ministers Union, tonight we're gathered in this building with many people filled with mixed emotions. The one common denominator which brings us all together is our love for the city of Muskogee. Let me first begin by stating that we as a collective body do not hate or wish to demonize the Muskogee Police Department. However, as citizens of Muskogee, we are exercising our rights to voice our frustration with the recent actions of the Muskogee Police Department. If there's one thought which could be understood by each of you this evening, this thought is this: bravery is not demonstrated when you stand on the wrong side of right. Bravery is demonstrated when you stand on the right side of wrong. The case involving Miss Geneva Smith is a case of underestimating. Many of you have underestimated the opinion of the people who voted each of you in office. We as citizens of Muskogee have also underestimated the moral aptitude of some of you which are sitting in office right now. Because as you ponder this moment regarding our presence tonight in this meeting, you will notice that there are many faces in this room which you've never seen before, and you're not familiarized because we're not invited to your private meetings or your prayer lunches. Because we don't really need an invitation to those events. The only event we need an invitation to is the voting booth on Election Day. It's moments like tonight when we will remember how many of you were brave enough to put stones in your hands and prepare to stone Miss Geneva Smith, who you felt was wrong, just like the woman found in the Gospel of John. However, I caution each of you to remember what Jesus told these judgmental individuals who held stones in their hands. The Bible quotes Jesus as saying in the Gospel of John, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." The difference tonight is that those individuals, according to John's Gospel, immediately dropped the stones that they held in their hands when they realized the error of their actions, while several of you tonight are still holding stones and throwing stones in your private meetings and your private discussions and your social media postings. One of the most critical challenges each of us must face in our lives is to claim that we have one Muskogee. But until all the citizens are recognized and embraced in Muskogee, then we don't have one Muskogee. In order for Muskogee to become one, it is time to stop hiding in our offices in seclusion and to begin intentionally engaging in conversation that promotes inclusion. We have to start engaging in dialogues of compassion with our fellow man and our fellow woman. We must engage in interchanges which promotes unity and trust. However, please don't ask us to come to your table if you don't have the desire to listen to the voices of the communities which you frequent the least. Tonight, only one lone voice speaks for our community, but the numerous voices of our communities are angry. The multitude of voices in our communities are frustrated, and there are many voices in our communities who are demanding justice, and these voices are preparing to get louder if we are continuously ignored. The voices of our community are embracing the dawning of a new day in our city. This time, the revolution will not be televised nor socialized, but it will be verbalized. And don't think the voices of our community are silent, because our voices are our votes, and our votes speak volumes. Our voices will be heard in every community in Muskogee. So don't think that you're not excluded from the range in which our voices can reach, because our voices live in each ward and in each district, and our voices can change the tide of an election. Don't think our silence is from fear, because some people speak just to be heard, while others speak when there's something that's important to say that must be heard. You may ask the question, what can I do? What can you do? Let me tell you what you can do. You can change the City of Muskogee policy for police pursuit to meet and reflect the national standard of the policy of police pursuit. You could change the City of Muskogee budget, which includes provisions to effectively recruit and hire more African American officers to reflect the ratio of African American citizens which live and pay taxes in this city. You can request the termination of employees who have demonstrated the inability to do their job efficiently. You could demand more severe disciplinary action against those officers who have conducted themselves inappropriately while on duty, because they have been charged and sworn to protect and serve our community, not pepper spray them. And you could make the bold and brave choice to stand with us for a better Muskogee and demand that these changes be done immediately. You can do what you know in your heart is right. But if you feel that you can't do so, then it's our responsibility to hire a city council and to vote in a city council that can do so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir, for your input. We will now consider item number 18.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the lawsuit styled Lois Ivy versus City of Muskogee in the District Court for Muskogee County, Oklahoma, case number CV 07-1730, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
Move that we go into executive session.
We'll now consider a motion for executive session.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call. If there's no discussion, roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully?
Yes.
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Cale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes, the motion carries. For us to do executive session, it's going to require that everybody vacate the chambers except the city council and staff, please. We'll now reconvene from executive session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn?
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Gully?
Here.
Dan Hall?
Here.
Marlon Coleman?
Here.
Janie Boydston?
Here.
Wayne Johnson?
Here.
Patrick Cale?
Here.
Ivory Van?
Here.
Derek Reed?
Here.
And item number 18A, Mr. Beasy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, council did convene an executive session to discuss the lawsuit styled Lois Ivy versus City of Muskogee in District Court for Muskogee County, Oklahoma, case number CV 07-1730, and after being fully briefed, no action is necessary.
That concludes our agenda. Thanks for being a part of our meeting.